In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
Turn your head on more of a slant. Now, make a fist. Slowly ease it up underneath your chin. This is looking really good. Okay, hold still right there. Now, just imagine you're weightless. You're in the middle of the ocean, surrounded by tiny little seahorses. That was the one. I think that's gonna come out really nice.
You don't have to go to hell. You're in hell. This is hell. This is hell. This is hell.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
Then strangled them, and finally dismembered their bodies.
Right.
Then do
Available.
and homelessness and all that.
And now, the voice you've been waiting for.
There is a secret song at the center of the world, and its sound is like razors through flesh. I'm here to turn up the volume.
I'm kind of retarded.
This past week sure was chock full of surprises, wasn't it? And I gotta kinda laugh at myself because the one prediction that I really made about how the debate would play out turned out to be wrong. See, I figured they'd be trying to talk a lot about the Georgia school shooting, but they really didn't even mention it. And I definitely didn't expect her to show up stone cold sober for probably the first time in years, which would go a long way to explaining why, as the news put it, she was holed up and hunkered down in a Pittsburgh hotel for several days. They were drying her ass out, which also goes to explain why we didn't get any of her signature cackling fits, and I damn sure wasn't expecting Trump to steal her zinger.
She was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out. Wait a minute, I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar?
To me, that was the best part of the whole debate. The one moment that really took you back to the moments from earlier debates, all the way back to the only Rosie O'Donnell, or when he told Jeb Bush that his mother should be running instead of him. I mean, everybody knew that Kamala was dying to get that in on him, just the way that she did against Mike Pence in 2020. But she couldn't, because the whole time she was talking, he never tried to speak. He just was very demure, very low-key, and she was the one that couldn't seem to help herself from gesticulating and making all these crazy faces. I will say that she did better than pretty much everybody was expecting, probably due to the not being shit-faced part, and Trump did a little bit worse than I was expecting. They kept trying to say that he doesn't do any kind of debate prep, but he just doesn't do mock debates, which that I can't really blame in his position, because who knows what kind of mole might witness you rehearsing your best zingers and then leak it to the other camp, and then they can do some kind of judo move when the time comes. But when they announced that he was doing some debate prep with Tulsi, I was expecting that he'd bring up some of the same shit that she destroyed Harris with back in the 2020 debates. But I was wrong about that, too. And then there was also the moderators who, unlike the CNN debate, decided they need to fact-check everything Trump is saying and zero of what Kamala said. That was how I knew that in that CNN debate against Biden, the fix was in and they wanted him to fall on his fucking face, because that was the first debate where the moderators didn't try to put their thumb on the scale. And they literally let Kamala get away with everything. From the Charlottesville very fine people narrative that even Snopes couldn't back anymore, to the bloodbath comments that was obviously, when you look at it in context, being used in the economic sense of that word. But nope, they didn't correct her one bit. And what he should have done, and if there is another debate, what he should fucking do, have somebody who is trustworthy and tech savvy, say like maybe Ramaswamy, have him set up a Twitter account. You can call it Debate Fact Check or whatever you want. Don't tell anybody about it until the very beginning of the debate and say, oh, by the way, folks at home, check out @DebateFactCheck on Twitter for the receipts of what I'm going to be talking about. Because it's not hard to anticipate the bullshit they're going to throw at you if you're planning on bringing up the increase in crime rates because of all the illegal immigration. You know they're going to throw that bullshit at you. Oh, well, the FBI statistics say crime is down. So you have Ramaswamy ready to right then and there post up screenshots of the news articles where they talk about how a whole bunch of the major cities with some of the biggest crime problems haven't been reporting their numbers. Or when the topic of abortion comes up and you want to talk about late-term abortions and allowing babies to just die after botched abortions, you know they're going to throw some bullshit at you. And you can just say, okay folks, check out the fact check account. And boom, oh, what do you know, What's Her Nuts is full of shit. Right now there are 8 different US states that have absolutely no restrictions, including right up into the 9th month. And also including, oh, you went to have an abortion and the baby came out and it's alive?
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Well, you can just go ahead and kill that baby, which is by definition a post-birth abortion. And if it's something that's ridiculous to bring up because it never happens ever, then why would you have a problem with it being made illegal? But why not have this shit locked and loaded and ready to fact-check the fact-checkers? I mean, it just seems like such an obvious idea. In 2016, one of the major things that got him into the White House was his ability to talk directly to people through his Twitter account. Now he's back on Twitter, and he could do some shit like this, and you're telling me that that wouldn't have some kind of effect to make people not even have to go search for it and rummage through the Google results? They can just boom, there it is, right there. But the moderator bias was so over the top and on the nose and in your face that everybody noticed it.
The moderator sucked.
Okay.
They really sucked. I'm sorry, I took away your big emotional moment, but they really, really sucked.
They did, and it wasn't just the fact that they sucked boldly and proudly.
I swear to God, I thought she was gonna say, they didn't just suck, they sucked balls.
And it was in your face. Just a little subtlety with your bias, please. Just pull it back a little bit. It was too much. They were participants, not moderators.
And the running joke online became that who is the winner of the debate? The moderators. But I disagree. In the end, the internet won. The reactions and the videos and the memes were all way more entertaining than anything that happened at the debate. And I think more impactful as well. Take the Springfield, Ohio thing, for example. When he started talking about they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, everybody on the left thought fucking Christmas came early. And that was gonna be the perfect attack vector to make him look completely unhinged. The only problem was, he wasn't pulling that shit out of his ass.
We're trying to find out what's going on. There are all kinds of allegations out there, such as Haitian migrants capturing animals and even pets.
That's true.
It's true.
My neighbor's dog, my neighbor's neighbor, went over to his house crying because the Haitians had just moved in, stole 2 of his cats and skinned him and ate them and threw his skins back over the fence.
Now that's fucked up.
I mean, I'm not sure about them kidnapping them, but with my own 2 eyes, they did kill my daughter's cat. They ran.
You witnessed this?
Yeah.
You know, there was the one case where the woman got caught on police body cam in somebody's fucking driveway, and that lady turned out to be an American citizen. So they said, oh, see, look, it's all bullshit. But there are plenty of interviews, people speaking at town halls, police reports, and David Muir tried to throw out that bullshit of, well, we reached out to the city manager, and he says it's not true. Like, oh, the city manager, a person whose job security depends on not making it look like his city is falling the fuck apart, that's the guy that says there's nothing going on? Wow, well, I guess we should just take him at his word then. And then the meme makers had a field day. And this is not a very good issue for you to be on the wrong side of, because we Americans love our pets. We love them like members of our family. And a lot of us, if some shit like that happened to our dog or our cat, They disappear and then get skinned and eaten, and then the skin of my dog gets thrown back over my fence? Well, let's just say I'm gonna do more than cry about it or get very angry. It's gonna be falling down times John Wick. But we shouldn't just beat up on the Haitians and act like this is simply a Haiti thing. There are a lot of very poor countries where they don't look at dogs and cats the way we do. Not to mention ducks and geese and shit. And right about now, there's a whole lot of Chinese people that are like, That shit became a joke for a reason, you know? The best jokes are rooted in truth. And the truth is, there are a lot of countries where people look at a kitty cat and they see a delicious, succulent meal.
What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal?
So when you've got these asshole moderators trying to act like you're crazy for bringing that up, why not fact check the fact checkers? Say, okay, David, well, the governor of Ohio is sending $2.5 million in state troopers to Springfield for some reason. And it's not just pets, and it's not just Springfield, David. Did you hear the one about the Honduran migrants who shot a bald fucking eagle in Nebraska and were planning to eat it? Is that one made up, David? And while I'm not gonna put any of the clips on this video, they're out there. If you wanna see dudes biting open a cat's throat and fucking drinking the blood while the cat is screaming, well, I'm gonna warn you, it's not very pretty. And there's a lot of things that try as you might, you just can't unsee. And then how could I forget about the earring controversy? A lot of people seem to think that the earrings that she was wearing were actually audio Bluetooth devices, and that Trump was actually debating against Obama, speaking through a surrogate the way he had said that he wanted to do in the past. But then the fact checkers came out and said, no, those are Tiffany earrings, and she's been wearing them for a while. So that's debunked.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
It really doesn't prove anything, as they could have been earpieces all along. But really, who gives a shit? I mean, that's a distraction. Wouldn't it be better to point out the provable bullshit that she wasn't getting fact-checked on? Like the gun control thing?
We're not taking anybody's guns away, so stop with the continuous lying about this stuff.
Are you sure?
I do believe that we need to do buybacks. I support buybacks.
How mandatory is your gun buyback program?
It's mandatory.
Busted.
And yeah, I am radical. I do believe that we need to get radical about what we are doing and take it seriously.
That lying bitch!
Or how about when she said this?
Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War.
And she actually said that on the eve of the 9/11 anniversary.
My wife is retarded! My wife is retarded! Yeah, pal. My wife is retarded! My wife is retarded.
I mean, did they actually rehearse that one? Or was that something that just popped into her mostly empty head on the spot? Because that's about as stupid as you can fucking get. But for all their post-debate congratulations to her and the bravado, I think they realized really quickly that they didn't move the needle, which became fairly obvious when you had Taylor Swift decide, now's the right time for me to announce my support for Kamala. Like that was a fucking surprise to anyone. But you know what was a surprise, and I don't think anybody had on their 2024 bingo card, is the next day when Biden put on a Trump hat at a 9/11 ceremony. And the whole exchange is hilarious. Biden offers this guy wearing a Trump hat his presidential seal hat, and the guy asks, oh, you gonna autograph it for me? Do you remember your name, you old fart? In the debate when Trump said, I'll let you in on a little secret, Biden hates her and can't stand her. Well, this certainly does lend a bit of credibility to that.
He reminds me of the guys I grew up with. There was always one in the neighborhood.
Well, I'm the only one.
There you go, man. I need that hat.
You want my autograph?
Hell no.
You know my name. Come on.
I ain't going that far.
Yeah. You do a selfie. There you go. I'm proud of you now.
When I first saw this picture of Biden wearing the hat pop up on my Twitter feed, I just figured it was a Photoshop that somebody did, especially because of the way the hat was sitting on his head. So then when I came across the video, I almost dropped a fucking Biden bomb in my pants. And something else that caught me by surprise, simply because this was the first I've heard of it, even though it happened a year ago, and let me know in the comments if any of you had heard of this before. A 650-foot mega tsunami hitting Greenland 1 year ago. Every time an asteroid comes within 500,000 miles of Earth, the news wants to report on it. So I would have guessed that, a 650-foot tsunami would be something that would at least be a blip on the news, regardless of where it hit, which is a very, very remote part of eastern Greenland, way the fuck up there on the top of the world. And what they're saying is that there was an initial high-energy seismic signal, and then a rock slide that mixed with glacial ice, and it caused this massive fucking wave. But while they were able to obtain information on the direction and magnitude of force exerted by the landslide, they do not have any data to investigate the original cause of the landslide. And as I'm reading this story, do you know where my mind immediately went? Does anybody remember when Russia threatened to use a nuclear torpedo to create a doomsday tsunami? And this article is exactly 6 months before this mega tsunami. I mean, if you're gonna threaten to do some shit like that, I suppose it wouldn't hurt to do a little weapons test in a remote part of the planet. But I'm probably just being overly paranoid. I'm sure everything is fine and we're in for some smooth sailing. And then of course, the biggest surprise of all this week, another assassination attempt. I mean, that took us all completely by surprise, right? But unlike retardy Oswald, this guy seems to have left a massive digital footprint that people are just starting to unravel. He was featured in an Azov Battalion propaganda commercial, interviewed by Newsweek, featured in a New York Times article, where he was described as a former construction worker from Greensboro, North Carolina, who's seeking recruits from among Afghan soldiers who fled the Taliban. Why? So they could fight in Ukraine, of course. He's quoted as saying, "We can probably purchase some passports through Pakistan." Yeah, that definitely sounds like just a regular guy to me, and not someone who's CIA connected at all. And then his son comes out and says that his dad hates Trump like all reasonable people, but he's never owned a gun, and he wouldn't do anything batshit crazy. So he's never owned a gun, and yet back in 2002, he fled a police traffic stop and then barricaded himself with a fully automatic machine gun for 3 hours. So he just so happened to have a fully automatic machine gun on him when he got pulled over by the cops, but he's never owned a gun. And people keep trying to paint this dude as a Republican as if that word means fucking anything nowadays. And of course, probably the biggest question that I'd like to see answered, but probably won't be, is how this guy knew exactly where to be. Because this wasn't something that was on his public schedule and was indeed a last-minute decision, and yet somehow this guy knew exactly where the fuck to be. But don't hold your breath on getting any answers. Because we're still waiting on some basic fucking answers from the last assassination attempt. But at this point, do we really even need them to admit the answers? I know I sure fucking don't. You know, I was planning on talking about camouflage in an urban environment, but now that's gonna have to wait a week. So let's see what the wisdom of the crowd produces this time. If you were trying to blend in and not be noticed in an urban environment, what do you think the best option would be? Sláinte.
All I have in this world is my thoughts and my words, and I don't break them for no one. You understand?
So say good night to the bad guy. 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 Come on. Come on. with me! I told you! Don't fuck with me! I told you! Don't fuck with me!